Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain. And I may have actually recorded one where I said Hope and Coffee, but anyway, same person, two different channels. Anyway, this is Coffee, Books, and Rain, where we just talk about books all the time and when I remember to post and all this sort of fun stuff. And today, not only do I have coffee because I am running on about 4 hours of sleep, perhaps. I blame the pups. I wanted to bring to you guys the Investigating the Mary Celeste. And I'm going to put a picture of the cover over here, the one that I can find, because who doesn't love a really cool story about a real life ghost ship? So, if you don't know, I want you to go ahead and Google the Mary Celeste because I knew about this. I knew about this ship for quite a while. Now, I want to stop you right here, real quick. The Queen Mary in Long Beach, California, is not the Mary Celeste. So, two different boats. By the way, ships. By the way, if you're a maritime person, ships and boats not the same thing, I don't believe. But the Mary Celeste, just to give a very brief background, was a Canadian-built, American-registered merchant brigantine that was found adrift in December of 1872. And I wanted to bring you a deep dive, and it is now... I'm going to stop myself. This is historical fiction. This is not a true account. This is a what if account, okay? Now, some pieces inside of it really did occur. Not all of it. A lot of it has been made up to give it a good story, but you are welcome to Google the Mary Celeste and find out a lot of incredible information about it because she really was found adrift with none of her passengers on board, and this is not spoilers. That is what makes this such a cool story. I think that's brilliant to be able to say this is a real day, still unsolved maritime mystery. And the fact that D. Lawrence Young was able to make this story into something that felt new and still very, very suspenseful was very cool in my opinion. Now, let me give you the little blurb real quick from Goodreads. And again, you can probably find the same blurb scattered across the internet. I just happen to go here because I know that it is one that we can easily find for most people. On the 4th of December, 1872, Captain Morehouse of the sailing ship Del Gratia called out ahoy to a fellow vessel in the middle of the Atlantic. He could never have anticipated that he was about to discover one of the greatest maritime mysteries ever recorded. The ship he had happened upon was the Mary Celeste, and it was completely deserted, with no sign of piracy nor mutiny. Unsure how to proceed, Morehouse sailed the abandoned ship into Gibraltar to claim salvage money. What followed was an intense criminal investigation with murder, mutiny, and a possible insurance scam, all considered as possible reasons for the Mary Celeste's abandonment. Again, all having actual historical fact. It's the underlying story of what people said that are really kind of the speculative part. But after a 3-month trial, no one was any closer to uncovering the truth. More than 150 years later, we still do not know what prompted Captain Briggs, his wife and baby, and the crew of the Mary Celeste to abandon ship mid-ocean. The speculation continues to this day. With 25 crime and historical novels under his belt, historian D. Lawrence Young is the perfect candidate to bring all these theories together, delving into the mysterious case and shedding light on possible solutions, credible hoaxes, and tales of other ghost ships. So, I just want to kind of give you that little bit of a blurb because I love a great ghost story. I love anything that's kind of unsolved. So, of course, you can find me on Netflix watching unsolved mysteries, trying to trying to solve things that haven't been solved in probably 20 years. Um, Never solved one in my life, but man, do I try every single time. Um, like, I'm probably terrible at it, but I love trying to put pieces together. Like, I assume that there are a ton of people out there similar to me who, like, wonder if all of these pieces have been addressed, if this was looked at, if this was looked at, if, this, that, or the other. And I think the Mary Celeste and D. Lawrence Young has really, like, grabbed my attention on wanting to know more again, because I feel as though in the past I was very curious about the Mary Celeste, because I do remember I had heard about this ship and I had wanted to know about it. And I looked into it, then I think I got distracted, as we all kind of do sometimes, and I think I found out about the Queen Mary, and then I found out when I was living in LA that the Queen Mary was in Long Beach, only to find out that while I was there, COVID had hit and it was closed because then they weren't letting people in. A little bummed, and I never got to go while I lived in LA. So, the mystery behind the Mary Celeste, again, I don't think it's giving spoilers to tell you it's unsolved, which is awesome. Go out there and try to solve it. If you can, come back, let me know what you know about it, what you find about it. But you can also go on history.com, the Smithsonian Magazine, Britannica.com. There's an entire website, maryceleste.net, that also Wikipedia has a page, which of course you would believe that Wikipedia would have a page about it. But I just find this to be a very fascinating story, but also it is well written by D. Lawrence Young. I believe he does a great job turning this real life situation into a great historical fiction for it to have some substance, since we don't really know a lot of the substance to be able to tell. There's so much left kind of up in the air that his speculation and his what ifs really feel as though they genuinely could have happened. And I kind of like that he really did his best. And I think as a historian, he tried to use some of that knowledge in order to fill in some of those gaps. Now, is it 100% accurate? No one can say unless we go back to 1872 and we try to interview those individuals. If you can do that, like, we probably should talk. We should probably reach out to the government as well, because that's some pretty cool technology you probably have. However, so when the De Gratia, so it's DEI, Gratia, Gratia, found the disheveled but seaworthy Mary Celeste kind of floating aimlessly. She had some sails that were torn. Her it seems as though her wheel was not locked, and just kind of trying to remember from the story, her log had not been updated for 10 days, and the lifeboat was missing. And I think, like, her compass was missing. A couple other nautical pieces were also missing. So they could have left, but, like, a lot of other things were also just still there as well. Personal belongings were all still there. Toys, clothing. There was a lot of water in the ship, such as, like, the bedding looked as though it had just been, like, unmade, but it was, like, all wet. And nobody on board was ever heard or seen from again to be able to convey, like, their message, which is kind of surprising, because there were actually, I don't even remember how many actual people there were. I was trying to see, just based on the Wikipedia, how many actual people it was. Now, I will say her very first captain on her very first launch didn't go incredibly well. And her very first captain passed away. And that was not a very good sign. And I know she kind of went through a couple iterations of ownership and reassignment and refittings and all sorts of things. Renaming. So Mary Celeste was not her original name. And, but ultimately came down to her name being the Mary Celeste. And Mr. Briggs, Captain Briggs, came on board. He went ahead, kind of built his crew. They were hauling liquor barrels over to Italy, I believe is where they were supposed to be bringing them. And I believe, like, all of their, like, liquor was still in the hold. So nobody tried to steal that. There was still jewelry that belonged to the captain's wife, so that was still there, so it didn't look like it was piracy. The baby's toys, and when I say baby, she was pretty small, like about 2 years old. Her toys were still scattered about, so it just looked like people had just up and like walked out, like when you just walk out of a room and kind of leave things kind of scattered about. So they had just kind of upped and walked away when you just... And it was kind of odd that the captain's bed apparently wasn't made, because apparently the captain is pretty meticulous of a person. So for his bed to be unmade, that was a little bit strange, so to speak, because it to be mentioned, I guess it must have been surprising. I was just kind of trying to look also on the Wikipedia as well, because now you can find a lot of this in the book as well. I do not want to not give credit to Mr. D. Lawrence Young. He does a really fantastic job of relaying all of this information, but of course, like, I don't want to accidentally, like, kind of quote or spoil something of his. So I really want you to go out there and read his book, because I think his wording and his phrasing is so much better than mine when it comes to me just kind of trying to give you a little synopsis with the hopes that you'll go out and read it. Now, this book has already released... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. It will release on March 26th. So I'm going to try to drop this episode probably day before or day of, because I want to try to give it, like, a little bit of, like, extra, like, hey, go read this book, go out there, because again, who doesn't like a good ghost story? No ghosts actually appear, but man, missing people, like, still to this day, nobody's seen them. That's kind of suspicious. But anyway, please go out and find Investigating the Mary Celeste by D. Lawrence Young at whatever book location that you happen to patron. I got my copy through NetGalley in exchange for an honest review. And again, this is one of my favorite type of genres, so you will probably frequently hear me talking about thrillers, murder mysteries, those sorts of things. I really enjoy that general genre. I love that puzzle and problem solving sort of aspect of it, which is always very cool for me. I like trying to figure out what's going on. And especially when it comes to this, where there is no kind of resolution, it leaves me wanting to know more and continuing to deep dive into the subject. So kudos to D. Lawrence Young for reinvigorating me into wanting to know more about this topic. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you have not liked and subscribed, please do that now, because I am trying so very hard to grow my channel. I am still kind of a newbie. And yeah, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.